Good morning and welcome to the big story right here on the BDTV Breakfast Show. My name is Elizabeth Musa. Today we're focusing on an issue that touches every Nigerian one way or another, and that's insecurity. At a national security seminar in Abuja, the National Security Advisor, Nuhu Ribadu, made a striking point, and he said, hunger and poverty are not just social issues, they are actually fueling crime, violence and insecurity across the country. In his words, tackling these challenges is essential if Nigeria is to enjoy lasting peace and development. This is a conversation that affects us all because when people are struggling to eat or when communities are cut off from opportunities, the ripple effect often shows up in the rise of crime and instability. So this morning, we want to dig deeper into this conversation. We want to ask the questions. Is poverty really at the heart of Nigeria's security crisis, or is it only part of a bigger picture? And what are the real solutions that can work? Well, joining us this morning is security expert Dickson Osajie. It will help us to make sense of it all. Good morning and welcome to the show, Mr. Osajie.
Thank you, Lizzie. Good morning.
It's good to have you this morning. Thank you for joining us. Let's begin with what the National Security Advisor said about poverty and hunger. Do you believe that hunger and poverty are truly the main drivers of insecurity in Nigeria?
Oh, thank you for having me. Yes, I believe on one side, and secondly, I also do not completely believe that there are various factors that contribute to the period of insecurity in Nigeria. Oh, yes, you want to say poverty, okay, you want to say lack of education, okay, but we also need to know that those driving factors are precipitated by our leaders. They are precipitated by our politicians, because if you have a very effective policy in place, you have a very effective, leadership measures in place, you won't have more poverty in our land. Like, I was born and bred in the north. By this time in the morning, you see a lot of youth, Nigerian youth, gathering in the house of most of these political elites, begging for bread, begging for water to drink, and they give them cash and everything. So they weaponize poverty. They use poverty as a weapon against the people. So I agree with the National Security Advisor, but holistically, poverty is not the major driving factors. When we talk about poverty, when someone is not able to, cater for himself, maybe 3 square meals, or take care of his utility, of his bills, or academics, that's very, very dangerous to the survival of the Nigerian state. Like mostly we're suffering from abject poverty. A lot of Nigerians are suffering from abject poverty. So I agree that these are some of the factors, not all the factors, because there are various factors. We have not talked about education, educational factors. We have not also talked about societal factors. We've not even talked about religious factors and every other thing, because Boko Haram is not driven by poverty, it's driven by religious factor, because they claim that Western education is sin, and they've come to erase the Western education, and they're still on it in the past 16 years. So many factors put together precipitate the rise in the growing of security, the growing rate of security in Nigeria. And if we want to get this right, we need to, nip this poverty on the board, and as well, bring things to a state of normality and ensure that no child is left on the street, Lizzie. Lizzie, I tell you that any child on the street is a potential threat to the government. And that's why government should start taking up most of these children on the street, from our streets, Lagos streets, the northern streets, and ensure that they're all in school so that they will have a better life.
Right. And, you had spoken about different factors. From your perspective, how closely tied are issues like unemployment, lack of food, to crimes such as kidnapping, terrorism, and even banditry? How closely tied are they?
Very closely. Fantastic question, Lizzie. First of all, we need to understand that there are various formations of crime. Terrorism, banditry are all crimes as well. Then we also have the white-collar crime. White-collar crime has not been discussed on our national televisions. White-collar crime constitutes the largest crime in the whole world. Like in America, for example, some 3 years ago, studies revealed that over $50 billion were carted away by white-collar crime. So what we see in our own country or in our own climate or in the surface is just the normal criminals, those who strike, those who hit. Let's stay on this, but we need to also understand that there are various formations of crime. So now, looking at this gangsterism and these criminal activities, like the terrorism, banditry, and kidnapping, I will tie that to lack of education, lack of, if you don't, as a government, we need to start looking at respecting our social contract. Government does not respect the social contract. What is meant for the people? Are you giving them what they deserve? The water, the electricity? Are you giving them security, protection? What are you giving to the people? So sometimes when government wants to roll out policies and also want to blame the people, they should also blame themselves for not respecting the social policy, for not obliging to the social policy, to the social contract, I mean to say. So social contract between the government and the people is very important, so that our government will start, doing the right thing and ensuring that Nigeria live in a state of peace. Okay, for example, now the 2023 election has come and gone, and we see a lot of talks being used to cut away ballot boxes. We see a lot of talks being used to snatch ballot boxes, to chase out voters. Who are the people masterminding this? Definitely it's not me, and definitely it's not you, Lindsay. These are politicians, using these talks, to carry out these evil activities, because they have interest in the political race. So now, when you go back to office and you allow these guys to go away, they become a menace to the society, and they strongly believe that crime is okay if our political leaders can use us to go and destabilize a rally, to go and destabilize an occasion going on somewhere. Crime is okay, and that is how crime keeps on flourishing in Nigeria, because we are not leading by example. Then, if you now ask me that, okay, would you want to tie unemployment and poverty to crime? Yes, I agree, you will, because Boko Haram, for instance, Lizzie, they are capitalizing on the vulnerable state of Nigerians, and that is why they go to the streets and they preach to the vulnerable ones, the jobless guys, the unemployed guys, the unschooled persons, and tell them that, hey, if the government fails you, the society fails you, the people face you, we, Boko Haram, we will not fail you. And truly, they don't fail them, because they give them a lot of money to fight. They give them a lot of goodies and every other promises, both on earth and in heaven, that when they get to heaven, they're going to meet some beautiful virgins and keep on enjoying their lives. And these guys want to say, oh, man, let me go to heaven and enjoy these beautiful virgins. And this methodology of Boko Haram whitewashing these guys keep on escalating, and they're getting more fighters. So poverty, unemployment, education as well. Education is very important. If I wasn't educated, I won't be here speaking with you today. I might perhaps be in my hometown and possibly be in the car park, trying to be a gangster, or maybe being a businessman, or an entrepreneur. So it goes hand in hand. So, Lindsay, we have a lot to do in this country, because Nigeria is suffering from multi-dimensional security threats. And if you want to, see, proper solutions to this multi-dimensional security threat, you'll be looking at multi-dimensional factors as well. So if we want to solve this issue we have in the country, in a section of complaining, our government needs to start looking at effective policies, rolling out effective policies, so that this policy will be a driving factor. Any country, Lizzie, that does not have an effective policy to drive the economy of the state, to drive the welfare of the people, to also drive the security and national security of the country and the people, I tell you that government is planning to fail. And when you plan to fail, then it's going to be a hell for the leaders and also for the people. But my advice to the politicians is that they must understand that we have a country to build, and they must lead by example, because we are seeing everything that's happening. Not that you go and commit crime and you come and grant a press statement, thinking Nigerians are fools. I will tell you today for free, Nigerians are not fools. We are all seeing what's going on in the country. We've seen people that are playing part in what is happening, but what they are doing is that they are, preparing a time bomb, that will bomb them out one of these days. But I pray it doesn't happen. Then, on a final note to your question, we need to start, looking at, uniting our country, uniting our people from the east, west, south, and north, because it seems to me like the forceful marriage in 1914, the amalgamation of Nigeria is not even working, because when you are in a particular zone, you are being tribalized, you are in another particular zone, you are not well respected, or whatever the case may be. I think the union of Nigeria is not making things better as well. So when we look at those factors, we also need to look at the marriage between the east, west, south, and north as another factors that is precipitating the spate of crime in Nigeria.
Right. I like that you really highlighted poverty and lack of education. But just very quickly, what other root causes should we be considering when we're talking about Nigeria's fight against insecurity?
Very good. The fight against insecurity is government centric, And if you want to ask me what are the root causes, is that most of these guys see what our leaders do. They see how our leaders embezzle funds. They see how our leaders, are being tried on national national TV, in some cases in the courts, and most of them just believe that the leaders don't care about them. When the people have a feeling that the leaders don't care about them, they also tend not to care about the government and also our leaders, and that's why the spirit of crime is escalating. Religious factor also plays a role, Lizzie, in the spirit of insecurity, because some people just believe that you are in a particular religion, the other religions they are going to hell, or the other religions they are not supposed to be in existence, and that's why most times, apart from Nigeria, you also see a lot of negative things happen in other parts of the country where genocide has been taking place because of most of this dirty, ill advised mentality. So for us to get things right, we need to also look at the religious perspective. What are you telling your people? What are you telling your followers? When you go to church, what are you talking about the other religion? When you go to mosque, what are you telling the people about the other religions? Because when you sow this negative seed in their mindset, they come back to the society and reflect what you teach them. They come back to practice what you teach them. So for me, I would strongly advise that we need to also start looking at societal engagement. The leaders of our country needs to start looking at engaging the people. When you are far away from the people, a lot of issues is going to rise up. And one of the issues that precipitated the high rate of insecurity was after the EndSARS. The EndSARS, I see it as a feedback. When people go on rally and they want to carry out a rally, government always see it as a threat, which is very, very bad. When you beat up a baby, you don't close his mouth, allow the baby to cry because you want to beat him up or beat her up. So why would you beat up Nigerians and you don't want them to cry? And when you want to cry, you shut up their mouth. They will definitely cry one day. For example, maybe I just, touch my child and my child started crying and I closed up her mouth, she will be able to cry. But immediately I take off my hands, she will burst out in tears. So you cannot shut the mouth of the people. And that is why when people want to go out for rally, allow them to go out for this rally. Don't go and tactically, position talks to go and commit crime, and later on you now call for curfew and say this something has been. We know the system, we know the style the government is using, and this is very terrible and detrimental to their own survival. If you want to protest against me, Dickson Osajie, I will sit down and listen to your protest, because protest must be seen as a feedback from the people to the government, not as a threat. The government is seen as a threat or a frustration or so. No. It doesn't work that way. That's why you keep on seeing protests going on, going out, going on, coming on back, going in and coming back. 2014, 2014, if I'm correct, there was a very large protest at in Ojota, Lagos.
Right.
And the former president, Goodluck Jonathan, didn't do anything about it. And that protest went peacefully and they were well protected. And the government got a feedback. So Lizzie, let's start seeing protests as a feedback so that you don't go and strike the people and the people resort to crime, because many factors precipitate crime, and stopping the people from protesting also, lead to the part of crime and the insecurity in the country.
Right. Let's talk about some of the things the government has done in terms of rolling out several poverty alleviation programs in the past. But we continue to see that insecurity keeps rising. Why do you think that these efforts haven't translated into better security on the ground?
Fantastic question, Lizzie. My own response to this is accountability. Is there accountability? Who's accounting for these funds, this poverty alleviation program? Is there a clear accountability? Are we holding people? Because we'll talk about accountability. Accountability can be from the horizontal and vertical plane. So who is the government holding accountable? Who are the people in charge of this program? Because when you say poverty alleviation, I've not felt it in my hometown. I'm from Edo State. I've not felt it in my village. I've not felt it in my community. I've not felt that at all. So I don't know where this poverty alleviation program is taking place. But, it's so sad that every single opportunity, the people want to, make money from it. And this does not only, lie on the government. It also lie on the people, because every person's in power is from society. So that tells you that we need a societal attitudinal change. Every person in this country needs to have a change in his or her attitude. Because, like for myself now speaking today, if I go to government tomorrow, I become a leader tomorrow, what I'm saying today, will I practice what I'm saying? Will I be a good leader of change? So everything boils down from society, and that is why the reason why most of this poverty alleviation program is not, yielding results is simply because of lack of accountability. Because if you account for every penny and every naira being spent by the government for this program, and people are being held accountable for diverting the fund, perhaps, or not utilizing it properly, then I tell you it's going to yield results. Because if accountability is absent, this program will be in vain. And an exception of that, the poverty alleviation program is temporary. It's not a permanent solution. You come and give me 5,000 naira to resolve some issue. I will just go to the market, buy bread and tea. The next day it's gone. I'll come back to you. No. So we should start looking at, programs that will take our people away from crime, take our people away from poverty. A long-lasting program, getting them handwork to do, sending them to school, ensuring that most of the best students are given positions, like maybe some of the enlistments in the Nigerian police, the Nigerian army, Nigerian navy. Look for the best people and bring them on board, not who knows who or godfatherism, because godfatherism is also one of the major problems that is contributing to insecurity in Nigeria. Many factors, please. I will start mentioning them. There's so much. So if you want to get this right, to your question, accountability is the way to go, and also look at going to the grassroots and uprooting these guys from the streets and giving them jobs and also empowering them financially to sustain their business. This will mitigate the state of insecurity. But let's be clear, Lizzie, I'm not here to tell you that crime can be eliminated. Crime will never, ever be eliminated to the end of life or to the end of time. We will live with crime till eternity. But the whole essence of crime prevention is to mitigate crime to as low as reasonably practicable. Because Abel killed his brother thousands of years ago. Brothers and sisters are killing themselves. Mother, father, everybody killing themselves. Husband killing wife, wife killing husband. So crime, we will live with crime till eternity. The whole essence for us is to mitigate it, and that is what the government should be looking at, reducing this crime rate to as low as reasonably acceptable in a global perspective.
All right, Mr. Osajie, one thing that's really interesting to hear from you is the fact that crime cannot be completely eradicated, but we can mitigate this crime. So let's talk about building trust between citizens and government. We see communities under constant threat of violence, from Benue State to Borno to Niger. We see these communities often feeling that government action is slow or even not enough. So from a security point of view, what really can be done to rebuild this trust between citizens and even the security agencies?
Okay, I just told you that crime can never be eliminated.
Right.
Also, security is doable, and that is the truth. The reason why I say crime can never be eliminated is because year in, year out, people are born, people are being born, In 2009, when Boko Haram sprang up, Muslim Muhammad Yusuf, the son of late Muhammad Yusuf, the founder of Boko Haram, was born when he was 3 years old when Boko Haram was established. Now he was 19 years old and one of the most dangerous terrorists. He was arrested in Chad Republic a few days ago due to intelligence from our security agencies. He was arrested. So now, this is to let you know that crime, we will live with crime. And also, looking at all the negative incidents happening in Benue, happening in Plateau State, is lack of security management and responsive measures. Because we don't have a responsive measures in place. We only have reactive measures. We are just too reactionary. When an incident happens, you see the National Security Advisor will take the next available jets to that state, go and tell them enough is enough. It's not all about talking. It's not about action. It's not about warning. It's all about action. It's all about putting the measures in place, because when it comes to security, the human factors cannot work it alone. And that is why in security management, 3 factors are responsible in the management of security issues or in the management of security. The human factors, the technological factors, and the processes or policies in place to govern these factors. Because if you have our people, being killed and nothing is happening, then these guys will keep on erasing these guys from their own street. So the government, I understand that we don't have the numbers, the number of people that are protecting the VIPs, oil companies, other institutions. The number of police officers there are more than even those protecting the poor, protecting the state. So if we need more police officers, maybe minimum of 1,000 police officers, which I know we have the finances to, to take good care of them. Yes, reduce the numbers from the present 350 or 400,000 to 1 million, so that we'll be well policed. Then the military, the soldiers, we have Navy, Army, Air Force, we're not even up to 1 million. And we have a country of 250 million or so to protect, increase the numbers. Then our national borders, the porosity of our national borders is also a contributing factor. Because, Lizzie, if you want to kill some mosquito in your bedroom, if perhaps you have any, you need to close up the windows and, spray the insecticide so that this mosquito will die and get swept out. But if your windows are open and you are spraying insecticide, you are doing a dirty job, because some of them will get in after the smell is gone. So that's the example, the scenario of our national borders. You can't be treating insecurity issues or treating security issues and the national borders remain porous. That is why these fighters, this terrorist group, transnational terrorist group, passing, gaining access to our national territory and taking the vulnerability of our national borders, capitalizing on that vulnerability, and also residing in our territory as their safe haven. When they go to strike communities, they come back to the safe havens. So we need to start looking at the porosity of our national borders and ensuring that the border is well policed by technological approach, because we cannot use human approach to protect our national borders. 1999, when I was in the Bakassi Peninsula, when I was in the army, the border there is highly porous. So we had some deployment within those borderline areas. So if we carry out an assessment of the porosity of our national borders, Nigerian Immigration, the Border Management Agency, should carry out an analysis of the porosity of our national borders and give it to the president and say, hey, these are the porous border area. This is what is expected. Then the proper solutions, technological solutions. Lizzie, you can stay we can be in Lagos here, and monitor the whole borders of Nigeria, the whole borderline of Nigeria, and dispatch security agents to any area you perceive threat. Because the whole essence of CCTV is not to watch the screen. No, CCTV stands for two measures. One, to curtail crime in progress. Maybe if there's an attack or a community is being attacked by this criminal element, it's called crime in progress. Then you can dispatch security agency swiftly to that community so that these guys don't escape from that route. Then, envelope them and take them out. Then secondly, it's meant for post-mortem analysis. You go back to watch the CCTV and see what happened and what went wrong, and also proper solutions next time so that you'll be able to curtail such incidents. So from the borderline area, then looking at the security agents, responsive measure is very important, because anytime an incident happens, you see the IGP come on air and said he has dispatched 30,000 police, dispatched 10. Where were the police when this incident is going on? So that is why we need to start looking at crime mapping analysis. You need to carry out this analysis, check the crime-prone areas. If you don't carry out crime mapping analysis of this country, so that you'll be able to project with security guys within the high-prone areas. For example, when I talk about crime mapping analysis, take Lagos, for example. You and I know that if you walk around maybe Ikoyi in the night, you are likely not to be attacked. But if you walk around Oshodi in the night with your phone, there's possibility, the rate is high for you to be attacked. So crime mapping analysis should be carried out so that we'll be able to mitigate all this nonsense happening in Nigeria. Then our officers and men and police officers, the government, should be responsive to security issues so that they will not be reactive alone. If they are responsive within this time frame and ensure that they go before the laws, because when we talk about security, it's for you to go before the criminal strike, for you to go before the law. If they keep on going before the laws, that's being responsive, crime rates within this region will be mitigated easily.
Right. So basically, if they're more responsive as against being reactionary, then we can rebuild trust between citizens and the security agencies themselves, if I hear you correctly.
Excellently, they can, because the people need the government and the government also needs the people. Once the people lose trust in the government, it's going to be a very, very dangerous path to tread, and they will not be able to pass information, because the government also needs these people to give them information, to share intelligence with them, because the government cannot be everywhere. But as a country, the government must have all its satellites, all its parameters, all its technology, deposited in most of these areas, and ensure that Nigeria can be able to live, without being intimidated or being coerced. So for me, I tell you, being responsive will mitigate the spirit of insecurity.
Before I let you go, finally, what message would you be sharing with Nigerians who feel helpless or even hopeless about the state of the security in the country?
If I want to tell them to be patient, at the end of this program, a lot of them will say, God punish me. A lot of them will insult me. If I want to tell them that the government will be great again, a lot of them will say I'm stupid. It's not easy to come on TV to analyze, because whether you say good or whatever you say, you must also have a backlash. So for me, I will still tell them that, well, let's pray for our leaders. And that's what my Bible tells me to do. We should pray for our leaders. But they should also, support the government of the day by intelligence sharing. It's not about government. As a person, what do? You see something, say something. Have you seen something negative going on and you report it to the state? If you don't do that, then your community will be set ablaze by these criminal elements. So most of these community guys, some of them are also involved, because for these guys to come to your community and strike, there's an insider that might be giving them information. So they need to also check within and fetch out those negative guys within the community, and as well carry out an effective crime prevention through environmental design, because every community, that is what is keeping the United States safe, crime prevention through environmental design. And I would suggest that to the government. For example, when you go to Dolphin, you see the way the estate is protected. Go to Shawgate Estate, most of these estates, we call them crime prevention through environmental design. So every community should set up a crime prevention design, so that whoever is coming to their community will be able to identify if this person is a new face or what is this person coming to look for, so that person can be fed out quickly before this negative incident strikes. So my advice to them is that support the government of the day, and also ensure that any information you get, you share with the government. That is what you can do for the government. You're not supposed to pay them salary or whatever. You've done your duty to vote your leaders, even though some of the votes were not being counted. But pray for the government and also support them with intelligence sharing. Then see something and say something quickly before it gets terrible against your people.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Dickson Osajie, for joining us this morning on The Big Story. It was really insightful. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lizzie. Thank you for having me. Thank you for all you do as well. Good to see you.
Good to see you as always. Well, this has been The Big Story right here on the BDTV Breakfast Show. Up next is Social Listening. Do stay with us.